What's going on, everybody? David Feldman-Makrias here, and I was just on a CarGurus call for one of my dealers, and just looking at some of the key core concepts, understanding their packaging and their pricing, and figuring out ways to help them sell more cars using third-party listings. So I'm not exactly sure what to title this video. It's either Third Parties Explained, Everything You Need to Know Quickly About CarGurus, which is, I don't know, it's a quick overview, or my personal favorite, CarGurus, a crash and burn assessment, third-party tool highlights. So basically in this video, what I'm going to do is just break down some of the highlights I got from this 30-minute call. It's basics. You might know some of this stuff already, but I'm getting more familiar with third parties, especially as their platforms evolve. And I think it's important to just revisit the basics, especially because in the last so many years, car dealers have, sold and made great profits. But now we have to scale back and we have to be as efficient as possible. So we need to go back to the basics. Let's go through it now. All right, here's what I got. And this whole video is just going to be about 5 or 6 slides on my Canva presentation here. And I'm going to go over some of the highlights here, and then I'm going to show you some visual representations of what those mean and what they look like, and exactly where to go and see so you can make sure that you're doing the basics correctly if you are using CarGurus. So highlights. For this specific dealer, there was more than 50% of the used vehicles were in high and overpriced categories by less than $500. So that means that the vehicles, there's a list of vehicles that are pretty increased in age, and they're just missing that good and great deal by $500 for less than $500. So if I scroll down here, here's the graph indicating it, right? Here's your used car listings per rating. New car inventory is currently excluded. So we have high price and overpriced is over 50%. It's orange and red. This fair deal, good deal, great deal is the remaining, 45-ish. But again, the guy goes, you got to fix those right away. And I went, well, aren't we just going a race to the bottom then? Like we just need to reprice all of our vehicles lower so we can just, all cut our way to the bottom. And he said, well, one way to prevent that is not just slash all the prices, but he actually showed me inside the tool where it shows exactly where the prices can be lowered, right? The prices can be lowered, and they're not all by $500. Some are just $100. So $100 to get better visibility makes a lot of freaking sense. Now, I don't know how that plays into vAuto, because vAuto, especially with used cars, is supposed to syndicate all these third parties and supposed to give you the right market analysis. But there is something to be said about looking at, the actual third party dashboard itself. It's just who's got time to do all that? I don't know. But I mean, this is a big thing, and I'm going to bring it up to the dealer in question. They were not able to make it on the call today because they have some other things going on. But again, if you're not getting some of this service from your current agency or you don't have the bandwidth to do that, I mean, you can let me know in the comments. That's exactly what my team does. We go through not just our responsibilities of, Google ads, Facebook ads, and other stuff that we commonly do, but we also act as advocates and really agency representatives to make sure that all of their other marketing investments, even ones that we don't control or benefit from, are doing their job or where we can improve. And that's what this was. Anyways, back to our regularly scheduled programming. Let me know if you're interested in that. But that was the main thing, right? More than 50% of used vehicles are high or overpriced by less than $500. And then if I go to this slide here, this is the actual report that he pulled up, and I don't have the accessibility right at this second to click into each car to see where they fall. But you can see like this 2020 Wrangler he brought up as an example. Here's the price, miles. It's 87 days old, and it's got a rating there. And it was within a couple $100 to make it actually appear on that fair deal rating, which is going to give higher visibility naturally. So I think that was the most impactful item. Make sure you go through this report. Again, I'm not advocating, you know, race to the bottom mentality, but I am advocating if you're within $100 to make a deal for a car that's 90 days old, I mean, do it. If you're within a few $100 to show more visibility on a vehicle that is aged, well, then yeah, do it. Like I thought of so many different marketing tools. You have cars.com, Auto Trader, CarGurus, and vAuto, right? And those all can be used for used cars. So you really just have to look at all your aged units, work all of your softwares if one's not communicating well enough to the other, and work backwards. I mean, it sounds simple, right? But that would be, a used car, marketing job, which I would love to do. I think it'd be awesome. Well, I'm selling a couple of cars right now. I got a 2010 Ford F-150 for sale. I got a 2012 Kia Soul stick shift for sale. And I've sold cars my entire life, probably had about 20 cars myself, and I'm only 30. Just grew up in the business. So I think it'd be a fun job, Anyways, okay, so packages. Here's some of their package highlights. Their base includes a featured top 3 highlights, so like the actual positions at the top of the search. They add, that would be a sponsored, similar to how search engines have. RPM, that's their social retargeting, which I do believe in. Anybody that goes off CarGurus, clicked on our listing and goes on a Facebook, that they receive an ad. Yeah, I mean, of that vehicle, that makes sense. Highlight, so that is every 10 listings, they get one ad in the middle of the listing starting on the second page. I'd be curious to know how many leads were actually from this highlight or how many stats, but I would have to look more into the reporting there. And then they finally had digital retailing, which I'm going to get to in a second. Like that was such a buzzword a couple of years ago, digital retailing, especially in COVID times. But I don't know. It's all like saturated. You just have to throw stuff at the wall, see what works, see if your team's actually using it. Honestly, you could have one person just audit all of your tools every day for a month and see how they actually work, and how your team's using it effectively. So we'll get into digital retailing. I guess I can get into that now. That's another report here. So I asked them, I said, what is an example of your digital retailing tool or situation? And this is what he came up with. The guy was pretty good. The guy, there's 2 guys on the call. They were both pretty informed and they knew the tool very well, which helps. Like anything with any of these third-party vendors or marketing or whatever, any software, it helps when you have a rep that actually knows what they're doing and then asks impactful conversations. And I was impressed. It was good. So caught me at a good time. But basically, here's a digital lead. The time of recording of this video is April 22nd. This was submitted April 21. And the person, I have to block out their information, but they have a self-reported credit score. They have a 2018 GMC Yukon Denali. This is their deal structure. The interesting part was the down payment was $20,000. They plan on putting $20,000 down. Like, holy cow, this deal should be highly, highly looked at, quickly moved to the top of the list, especially if it's not a previous customer. So, it makes sense. And I like that they did a recent lead. So you can tell the guy actually prepped, but this information was evidently pushed to the DMS. Now, I'd be curious to know if the managers picked up this deal and it actually did get pushed to the DMS like they say, because if it did, it's like, oh, wow, they could just start working the deal. But if it got pushed to their CRM and then, the person's got to follow up and the person doesn't know, like the BDC person doesn't know that the deal's already being worked and that they have all this information and how quickly is the store getting back to this customer, I'd be very, very curious to know and see that. And again, that's a communication of technology problem. Right. But again, I'm going to bring this up in the meeting when we have it. It's really, really cool. But again, all these tools are only as cool as you use them. So let's see. So that was the digital retailing. One thing that I thought was interesting, is it's used car focus, which makes sense for gurus, 80% versus 20%. So they didn't really have a lot of reporting on new vehicles at all, even though they do offer new vehicle search options. I didn't see a lot. So if you're looking for new car advertising, especially for third parties, I wouldn't go with gurus. They just didn't have a lot. And most of their site traffic, I'm going to give a rough approximation 80-20. 80% of their site traffic is geared towards used vehicle intent. One good point was highlight configuration. And so this highlight where it shows like a listing when an ad starts to go, or I'm sorry, it shows a listing, a sponsored listing every 10th listing in our area. I guess, how does it rank amongst anybody else that's on highlight? That'd be interesting to know. But it shows an ad every 10th listing starting on the second page. Currently, it's set to oldest age units of used vehicles, but you can push new in this standpoint. That's some good feedback. I got the radius of targeting is 50 to 100 miles default. Each store gets about 1.5% of share of searches in Chicagoland, which doesn't sound like a lot. So how can we maximize it? And then finally, leads ROI by category, used and new. So if I go down here, this was a breakout because I asked like how many leads new, how many leads used. So in February, this looks like a count of CarGurus leads at about 3426. It doesn't give the labeling here, but light blue is used, dark blue is certified, and gray is here you go. New, CPO used, and then unknown. So gray is new and red is unknown. I just figured that. So February, March. So February they had 68 leads. March they had 75 leads. April they had 44, and that was my main thing. Like April was down a lot, but we're not all the way through April. But I don't think we're gonna pace out. We only have 10 days left. I don't know. And then you have VDPs by condition. It looks like most of the VDPs were here in March. Not as many in February and less in April because April's not done yet. But anywho, that is the overall reporting. So that's a quick hit on CarGurus. So basically, know your cost, what you're getting, know your leads, how many leads you're getting, and how many of those are attributing to car sales. And if it's a lot, well, then maybe it makes sense to invest more in CarGurus and spend more money there. If it's not, well, then I don't know, don't. So I can't give the exact numbers and specifics for this dealer in question, but I do want to, as a conclusion, I do want to focus on, okay, if you're going to focus on anything like this, again, small hinges to swing the big doors, right? You want to focus on the report that shows how many cars are actually high priced or overpriced and get them out of high priced and overpriced to get the most amount of organic search you possibly can. Look at the digital retailing if you have it and make sure the info is being pushed and how fast you're actually working these deals. That would be one. And then just know your leads, your ROI, right? So it's not really ROI, it's ROAS, return on ad spend, because it's not really an ROI. You want to know how many leads, how many sold, influenced, it's not really sold attribution, and then what your investment was. And for this investment, CarGurus out of the third party is one of the lighter spends. So I think it is worth it for this store in question, and maybe it might be worth maximizing it more compared to other third parties. So hopefully this, guys, helps you a little bit. And this is CarGurus Explained Crash and Burn Assessment real quick. I'll be doing some more with Cars.com and AutoTrader to help you evaluate which third party, if any, you should be utilizing and what sort of tools inside them are the most readily and available to use that'll benefit you the most. So hope this was helpful. Leave me some comments in the comment section if you would like me to go over anything else in detail. If you would like more details on my 2010 Ford F-150, I would be more than happy to oblige. Thank you so much. Take care, guys.